Good morning.
Good morning.
We appreciate each and every one of you. Glad that everyone is in good standings. And at this time, we'll turn it over to our city clerk.
This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, October 20th. Please stand for our invocation, led by Reverend Tamika Barr, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence following the pledge.
Yep.
Good morning. May we
Good
all
morning.
bow our heads for prayer? Father God, we come to you as humble as we know how this morning, God, asking that good decisions be made this morning, God, asking for unity this morning, God. We ask you to touch each individual one by one, God. Bless them from the top of their head to the sole of their feet, God. We ask that you move in a mighty way this morning, God. We ask that you bless the city of Mobile as a whole, God. We ask that you bless the councilmen this morning, God, one by one, God. Give them what they need this morning. Give them what to say this morning, God. We ask that good decisions are being made, good plans are being put together in the mighty name of Jesus, God. We thank you for just being at the table this morning to come together for the city of Mobile so the city can be greater. Amen. God, we thank you for what you are about to do. We thank you for what's already been done. And we thank you for what's about to happen in our near future. In the mighty name of Jesus, we do pray. And everybody said amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now observe a special moment of silence, and we will turn it over to Councilwoman Gina Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that. Today, we want to remember Ann Walsh and, of course, her family in a moment of silence. Ann died this past Friday after a lengthy illness. And so many of us on the council and our staff knew Ann, worked with Ann in a variety of ways and know her family. We just want to honor her for all of the work that she has done in our community and for a friend. And she has so many achievements and done so much. I need to read part of this because I won't remember them all, but she was very, very involved, as I said. League of Women Voters was one. She was in a book club, Ikebana, the Herb Society, and very much involved in L'Arche. That was very close to her heart. Ann is one of the first, if not the first people who encouraged me to run for city council. So I guess we have her to thank for that. But, you know, Ann was such a special lady. And I think we all also know her daughter, Devin, who works at Channel 5. I worked with Devin and had just a lot of close contact with Ann. And she will really, really be missed. She's just a dynamite personality, so very kind and generous. So I'm really happy that we're able to do a moment of silence for Ann to remember her and of course her family. And I know other council members would like to say a few words as well.
If I could comment.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. Gina, thank you so much for pointing out all the involvement that Ann had in our community. She truly was a community-based asset and will be greatly missed. Everyone who knew her was very fortunate to be in her circle because she really embraced life. She could relate to numerous people from all walks of life. And again, she just gave so much of herself. And on behalf of the district that I represent, I'd like to offer her family sincere condolences. And I know that we mourn with them in her loss. So it's really is a watershed moment when I think about Ann and your comments about that she encouraged you. Well, she did encourage me too. And She was just a remarkable woman. Great, will be greatly missed.
And I
Thanks.
neglected to mention, well, thank you, Bess, and I neglected to mention that Ann and most of her immediate family do live in District 7. And I think it's really a testament to Ann and her husband that two of their daughters moved back, to the district, one house down and across the street from Ann and her husband. So a very close family.
Well, I just would
Anybody-
be remiss if I didn't remark on my connection with Ann Walsh. I was a 16-year-old, recently kidney transplanted high schooler at Murphy High School, appointed to the Mobile City Youth Council, and came up with an idea to register all eligible seniors for the next election. Reached out to the League of Women Voters and got a call a couple of days later from the one and only Ann Walsh. And that started a nearly 20-year connection. She would come and pick me up at Murphy. We'd come to council meetings and leave council meetings and go and strategize Project First Vote at the Colonel Dixie of all places, eating stale hot dogs of all things. But it wasn't about the food. It was all about the connection and the strategies and what she imparted there at the Colonel Dixie. Ann Walsh was a phenomenal woman who, even through adversity, ailments, persevered and didn't allow any of that to keep her from being an active part of her community. My thoughts and my prayers are with her entire family. Mobile has truly lost a gem of a citizen, and I mean that sincerely. They used to call us the odd couple, and we kept right on, and we registered about 3,000 high schoolers that year. And I believe the league continues to do some semblance of that now. She was an unstoppable force, and I'm saddened to hear that the only thing that could stop her is death. And we want to wish and pray for her family, wish them the greatest of days in their future. And we, at this time, will observe, unless there's other comments, we will observe that moment of silence. Thank you.
Roll call. President Manzi,
Here.
Vice President Small,
Here.
Councilmember Richardson,
Here.
Councilmember Williams,
Here.
Councilmember Daves,
Here.
Councilmember Rich,
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Morning.
In response to national, state, local guidance due to COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the Alabama Open Meetings Act and the governor's supplemental emergency proclamation, we are meeting remotely. While we are all in different places, we are able to participate as if we were all in the council chambers at City Hall. And in keeping with the requirements of the Alabama Open Meetings Act, the public is still able to observe the meeting through the live stream. All items we will address during this meeting are either necessary to respond to COVID-19 or necessary to perform essential minimum functions of the city. The public is able to present comments to the council by emailing them to cityclerk@cityofmobile.org up to 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Public comments which will be acknowledged as received during the meeting and distributed to council members and included in the meeting minutes. All speakers will be granted 3 minutes. At the end of the second minute, a bell will tone, indicating that you have 60 seconds to complete your commentary. The meeting is live streamed and can be viewed through the city website or on the council's Facebook page. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your interest in your municipal government. Madam City Clerk?
Approval of minutes of September 13th.
So move.
Second.
Second.
And properly moved and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, great job as always.
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody this morning. I'd like to begin by telling you that last week, the Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce recognized the city of Mobile as the 2020 Reverend Wesley A. James Minority Business Advocate during its Eagle Awards ceremony. Now, while I was honored to accept alongside our supplier diversity manager, Arshanique Kidd, there were a lot of people involved in this process. Jamie Roberts is certainly a key to what we're doing in the area of and workforce and affordable housing, but also in trying to make sure that we are registering or certifying workers as part of the Section 3 program that we have. And we can continue to use the CDBG dollars to, we think, at the best of interest of the community. And we continue to work with HUD to move this very worthwhile process forward. And it's just a process because it never ends. We've got to continually find ways to do better in the areas of housing and finding work for those who may be unemployed or underemployed. Next item is that the census is now closed. Now, there was some controversy about how long it would be open. That was finally resolved. We ended up with 64% response, which to me sounds very, very low, but only Huntsville registered more people or had more people sign up than we did. So we'll see how that shakes out as the Census Bureau, they end up, processing all the information they collected across the United States. Yesterday, I signed a proclamation for Bullying Prevention Week. We all know that bullying is a pervasive problem among our young people. When we were all in school, typically the bullying occurred in the classroom or on the playground. Now it's much more pervasive than that because of social media. And so, we join all groups that try to bring attention to how harmful bullying is. And so I picked up this morning that the district attorney was talking about, it's a good thing to be kind. And so I think in all of our messaging, that should be something that we focus on as a community because it just makes a huge difference in the psyche of all of our citizens. Another item is that I know that a lot of people would be glad to know that our recycling centers are open. My understanding is that they reopened yesterday. So we'll start being able to take those recyclable products and put them back in that chain of getting them to Escambia County so that they can go where they should be going. Also, at this time, I'd like to give just a couple of minutes to Colonel DeLapp to give us an update on where we are on debris cleanup. I know that he'll touch all the bases, but one base I want to touch is one of the things that really helps us is the segregation or separation of the piles of debris. Having the vegetation, just the loose vegetation in one pile, having vegetation that's in garbage bags, in another pile, and then having the construction debris and other materials together in the third pile is very, very helpful. But it's also extremely helpful if you want your street cleaned up. If you're willing to take your bags to the bags with the leafy materials in it, to the centers where we have the two trailers or the two parks where we have the trailers, that means we don't have to pick it up. That means everything flows faster. So for those that want the bags out of the yard, if you put it in your trunk and take it to the two parks, then we'll be able to get the rest of the rest of the trash off in a shorter period of time. So thank you, Council President. Turn it back over to you.
We appreciate you coming here, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for all that you all are doing.
Mr. President, if I might, very
Ms.
quickly.
Gregory, yes, ma'am.
This is just kind of piggybacking on what the mayor said about the bags of the yard debris. I've checked over at Langen a couple of times, and a lot of people really are taking advantage of it. I mean, it's a great opportunity to get those bags off your curb because a lot of people are complaining about, it's killing their grass and that kind of thing. But I've noticed that a lot of people are taking advantage of the drop off at Langen, and our public works crews go out there and they load it all onto trucks and then they take it and haul off. So it's a really good opportunity to help speed things up. If you can, just like the mayor said, put it in your trunk if you don't have a truck, and just take it over there and drop it off.
Councilman President, I was going to ask, after Councilman Small speaks, we'd let Jim DeLapp talk just for a moment about the debris pickup, if you would.
Absolutely. We'll hear from Colonel DeLapp, no, from Vice President Small. Did you have something?
No, sir.
Then we'll hear from any other member of the council had anything. I just want to remind citizens in my district that outside my house is not an official dumping post. Colonel, if you could let them know where they need to go, I'm gonna get a camera and I'm gonna find out what's going on. And I think you think because I'm the councilman that they're gonna come and get it. Stop dumping outside my house. It's not an official City of Mobile dumping site. Just putting it out there. We'll go to Colonel DeLapp.
Thank you, Council President Manzi. Just to echo what the mayor said and Councilwoman Gregory, we have made great progress across the city in picking up the debris from Hurricane Sally. As you've probably seen in the press and in the mayor's newsletter, we put out yesterday 92%. That means we've made it through about 92% of the city and our first pass to pick up the debris. We anticipate having been through the entire city by the end of this week and then start into a second pass. And then we'll continue that and go through the entire city a second time with our contractor, augmented by our own trash crews. As you can anticipate, if you were a citizen that was first passed by our contractor 3 weeks ago and you didn't have everything out to the curb, it's probably been sitting out there for the last 3 weeks. But now with this second pass, they'll be cycling back and you'll see them come again starting next week. So that's kind of how the process will take. We anticipate the second pass will go much quicker because there's a lot less debris than there was on the first one. So it'll probably be a 2 to 3 week process to get through the city a second time. As was stated by both Councilwoman Gregory and the mayor, the bag debris, if you can and have the ability to take it to those 2 locations, that's very helpful. And the separation is very helpful. We'll continue to do the debris pickup with the contractor. We anticipate between now and Thanksgiving, they will have done the entire city a second time. And so that will be great. And at that point, we don't anticipate much storm debris left. At that point, it should all be regular trash. And our regular trash crews have been out, started yesterday. There is still a larger amount of regular trash being put out. So they're want to stay on schedule, but based on the first day, it's still a larger volume than we than we normally have. So, but we anticipate they'll be on a regular trash schedule here over the next 2 weeks. And with that, I'll take any other questions that you may have.
If I may, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
I have a
Mr.
question
Reagan.
too.
And then Ms. Rich.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to make a comment that I think that what most on the council may not know is in the very center of District 4, there is a debris collection point, is what I'm calling it. And it's at this point where we have a representative of, I believe, Thompson Engineering, who watches debris come in, estimates the cubic yard that is coming in on a truck. It is disposed of in a big pile. That truck is checked before it goes off site. And you wonder why that is. That's the accountability. We're paying a contractor by the cubic yard. And I think they're doing a marvelous job, not only within the city, but also at that site. And then what happens is that they're chipping all of that debris. That's why it's so important that it be pure. They're chipping all of that debris so that it does not leave as it came in and open up the possibility of it returning for a second count. Not that we don't trust our contractor, a very good contractor, but we are ensuring that tax dollars are going and being used the most efficient way. Now, my question becomes, what is happening with the chips? And I brought this up to you before, so I hope I'm not surprising you with the question, Colonel. There's a lot of people asking, and I just wonder what you had finally decided.
Yeah, so Councilman, great question. And number one, we do appreciate the support of you and your district for allowing that site, that debris management site, to be off Azalea Road. That's really helped to increase the speed in which we've been able to get the debris off of in front of the houses. And so we have 3 of those sites. One's at Azalea, the one on Azalea you mentioned, one at the fairgrounds, and one in the Orange Grove area. And all 3 of those sites are where it's consolidated, then it's ground into a very large industrial size kind of mulch. Unfortunately, it's not really a mulch we're able to kind of distribute to citizens. It's number one, it's about a 6-inch or plus size, and as well for accountability purposes, as you earlier alluded, because we have to be accountable. FEMA requires that we maintain custody of that until its final disposal site. And so we have a final disposal site off of Shelton Beach Road, which is where that's all of the debris currently will be going once it's ground into that 6-inch or larger size. So all branches, limbs, all mulched down to that size, and then hauled to the final disposal site. And as I talked about earlier, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's when the rest of the debris, it'll all have already been collected by the city, and it'll be at those debris management sites. It'll be further ground there and then hauled to those final disposal sites. But we'd like to be done with the whole operation before the Christmas time.
Thank you. Ms. Rich.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. DeLapp, can you tell us how long those off-site, especially with the garbage, or I call them garbage bags, but the black trash bags, or that also has lawn debris or debris in it, how long you're going to be doing that program where people can also add on their own to that?
Yeah, we're gonna keep those open through the debris collection period. So we anticipate keeping that open all the way till the middle of November, probably about the 14th or 15th of November for right now. That's just our kind of target, because we want to give everyone the opportunity, if they continue to clean up and they've got stuff in bags, they don't have to sit on the lawn for 2 or 3 weeks. They can take them over there by truck and drop at that location.
Okay, that's good information, because I'm not sure people knew how long that would be there for them to take advantage of. So thank you.
Awesome.
Any other questions for Colonel DeLapp, or any other comments relative to this subject matter? Keep up the good work. I'm just impressed with the way that our public works has responded, and John Peavy, Colonel DeLapp, everyone else who's worked so hard to help us to rebound. We are really, really grateful, and keep up the good work. Madam City Clerk?
At this time, we have presentation from Councilmember Gregory.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. This morning, a young man named Hunter Mount will be speaking to us. Hunter lives in my district, and he and I have gotten to know each other through text messaging because he had contacted me about some issues in his neighborhood. But then it developed onto him telling me some of the things that he is doing and his neighbors are doing to raise awareness about breast cancer. And of course, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So he has spearheaded an effort in his neighborhood, and it's also to honor his mother, who died about a year ago from a long illness with breast cancer. So Hunter is here with us on Zoom, I think. And we also have some photos that Hunter has provided to show us exactly what was happening in his neighborhood. So Hunter, if you're there, welcome.
Thank you.
So Hunter, if you would tell us a little bit about this effort to bring awareness and also to honor your mom and what all y'all have done.
All right. Good evening. My name is Hunter Mount from District 7 of the City of Mobile. In my neighborhood, community means a lot. My parents have been in my neighborhood since before I was born. While growing up, I had a strong woman in my life that I was fortunate enough to call mom. And for over a decade, she had an up and down fight with cancer, but it never defined her. Many of my neighbors knew her very well, and they would eventually all become good friends. They all loved my mom for the sweet personality, amazing smile, and willingness to help whoever. My mother passed away on September 29, 2019. In honor of my mom and everyone who has had breast cancer, we have decided to light up pink by changing our porch lights to pink bulbs. We have also put breast cancer flags on our street lights, pink and white flowers on our street signs, and 2 wooden breast cancer ribbons on each side of our neighborhood entrance sign. It has been amazing to see all the love my neighbors have shown for my lovely mom.
Yeah, that's amazing, Hunter. Thank you so much for doing that. And I understand that you went to your neighbors and changed out the bulbs yourself.
Yes, ma'am, I did. Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. And you know that one of your neighbors contacted Mrs. Rich and me about, what you were doing. And she said, you all need to recognize this young man. And Bess and I both said, you are right. So we're really happy that you're with us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hunter, if I could just comment, I would like to thank you for, I know you're very passionate about this, but I was so impressed with what you did in your neighborhood to raise awareness. I know your mom would be extremely proud of you. And I know she's looking down, and just, it's really remarkable what you have done. And I hope that it helps others to maybe want to do the same in their neighborhood. Thanks for being such a great community asset. It really is, it's terrific. And when we got word that you were doing this, a little birdie in your neighborhood told us, and Glenn Howard, so now you'll know. He wanted to make sure, and you deserve all that recognition.
Well,
but thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you.
Just so y'all know, Hunter also keeps me informed about when lights are out in his neighborhood, and we get them replaced. So not only is he working, to raise awareness about breast cancer, but he's also a very dedicated community member who, looks out for things within his neighborhood. And I just really am very pleased to get to know Hunter, and really, again, like Mrs. Rich said, we just appreciate all you have done. And I know, Hunter, that your mom will be proud, or is proud of you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Impressive, Hunter. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
That's right.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Having me.
All right, that's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Mr.
Madam City
President,
Clerk? Yes, ma'am.
we have a special guest on with us today, and that is Deidre Fairley.
All right.
All right, now, that's what I'm talking about.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh, you thought you were gonna slip off from us.
Yeah.
Come get on the first page. All right. Who's leading? Fred?
Okay, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a proclamation on your behalf. It reads thusly. Whereas the city of Mobile, our citizens and past and present members of the Mobile City Council owe an enormous debt of gratitude to Ms. Deidre Crowley, who after 34 years of dedicated service is leaving our office and her work with the city of Mobile. And
whereas shortly after graduating from the University of South Alabama, she was hired by the city of Mobile in 1986 and worked for the city commission and then the city council, where after starting as a clerk typist, she methodically worked her way up, becoming an executive secretary in 2002, following several earlier promotions. And whereas
all the while, she gained a reputation as a walking computer due to her vast working knowledge of all things city and council. Someone who found no job too hard to resolve, and always with a smile on her face. And whereas
Deidre is also known for her devotion to her beloved family, including her father, Cornus, her late mother, Evelyn, two sisters, Katrina and the late Savinia, and long line of nephews, nieces, great nephews, as well as many friends, and of course, council members, Deidre. And
whereas in addition to her family, she is a dedicated member of the New Hope Seventh-day Adventist Church, where she serves as an usher and clerk, an advocate who works with the Take It to the Streets ministry. And
whereas we are so incredibly grateful for her years of work, commitment to the city, and for sharing so many years with us, our predecessor, and the city.
Now, therefore, we, the members of the Mobile City Council and the mayor, do hereby proclaim today, Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, as Miss Deidre Fairley Day in the city of Mobile, and urge all our citizens to join us in thanking her for all her dedication to the city of Mobile and the city council, and wishing her the best in her retirement and in her future endeavors. Done at the city of Mobile, Alabama, this 20th day of October, 2020.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Oh, she's gone already. Set it down. All right.
No, she's there.
Okay, that was my fault. There you go.
Oh, hey, look, Mr. President, I tell you that I don't care how long you've been here, as long as Fred's been here or just as long as I have. There was never a time when you were hopeless, when you thought that you couldn't find the right answer, or somebody said, I don't know about that. You just say, hold on. Has anybody talk to Deidre? And Deidre got brought into the solution, and I'll tell you, she just never failed us. So grateful, Deidre, and wish you great luck.
Thank you.
Deidre, Deidre, I hope you know how much.
Mr. Richardson and then Ms. Rich.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I would just like to say that I haven't ever gone to Deidre with the issue that Deidre somehow did find the answer to it. It may have taken her 30 minutes. She's going to come back with an answer. She's a walking encyclopedia. She's a walking computer. And I don't know if any person out there in the element that can replace that kind of professionalism. We love you, Dee, and we wish you the most in your retirement.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Ms. Rich?
Deidre, everyone said it. You are a walking computer. When I saw that element in this proclamation, I hope you understand the essentialness to your personality and to your dedication to the city and to the council. I mean, I so admire everything about you, and you're not done with me. Because even when I wasn't on the council, I managed to know that it was important to stay friends with you, and that shall always be a lifetime with me.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President,
Mr. Vice President.
Ms. Rich said even when she wasn't on the council, there are many, constituents that's in the city that lean and depend on Deidre. I can think of one right off the bat. She always say, I need this done. I'm gonna call, Ms. Deidre, or I'm gonna call Deidre to get this done. And Deidre, you're gonna be very, very well missed. The 8 years that I have been working with you, know that you have my back in many things, and your seat is just gonna be hard to replace. I'm not gonna say your shoes, but your seat is really just gonna be replaced and everything. But again, I do thank you, and even from the district or many constituents that contacted you directly to get things done, we thank you so much, and more happy years for you to come, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Mr. Daves.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. When I took office, Ms. Fairley was unfortunately placed in the position where her office was next to my office. So she was always at hand. And whenever I had a problem with my computer or needed to know something or anything, all I had to do was yell through the wall, Deidre! She'd come in and she would fix it in no time. She'd say, do this, do this, do this, do this, and it would fix it all right up. So I'm gonna be helpless without you, Dee. Absolutely helpless. But I wish you the very best. The very, very best.
Thank you.
Ms. Gregory.
Like Joel, I'm one of the ones that would yell, Deidre, I can't figure out how to get this computer going. And she would come in and, automatically fix it. So I knew it was always human, or user error, because Deidre always knew exactly what to do. But, it's so funny, Deidre, to see when you started, they called it clerk typist. I mean, that is just so wild to hear that kind of a title, these days. But for somebody like you who has stuck it out as long as you did with the same group of people, and I know we can all be very trying, that just shows what kind of personality you have, and your ability to work with everybody and get your job done and do it well. We just really, really appreciate all that you've done for us over the years, and of course, all of the past council members that you've worked with. So thank you so much for all you've done, and we really wish you the best in your retirement. And like Beth said, don't be a stranger. We're still around, and we'll stay in touch. So we can just
Okay.
Well, I just want to add that when I think of the hard work and the ethic of Deidre Fairley, the words consummate professional come to my mind. I met her years back in high school. She was exceptional then and has only grown more in that exceptionality as time has gone forward. Two things stick out. The first one is her ability to make what seems like was a mighty and great problem, solve it. Just absolutely has that ability. And secondly, I think of how we've grown to depend on her when it came to travel. She puts these great booklets together that tells you from step A to step B. And I've been around colleagues, they didn't know where they were going from other cities, didn't know if they were going to get on an Uber or this, that, and the other. And I had this packet put together from step A to step Z. And it's just par for the course for the way that she conducted our office. And I'm going to miss you. And I hope your number stays the same, because I'm still going to be calling you. If you go to my community meetings, she probably will walk. People just need to give the information to her, and everything will be resolved. You're going to be, well, we won't be able to replace you. And we will miss you. And thank you for all you've done for not only this interracial council members before the city of Mobile. You are due, Ms. Deidre Fowler.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson,
if Deidre had the wherewithal to move to District 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. She elected to live in the greatest district in the city of Mobile. She's a resident. She's an outstanding resident of District 1. We are all proud to have her in District 1.
Thank you so much for your comments. It was a joy working with all members of the city council for the past 34 years. And like the saying said, if you enjoy what you do, you don't, if you enjoy what you do, you really don't work. So I've enjoyed doing what I've done for the past 34 years. I know my grandmother and my sister that's deceased, they used to always tell me, I need to come to your job just to see what you do, because I don't believe you answer the phone, because here you don't answer the phone and you don't call people on the phone. I said, well, they not calling to speak to me, they calling to speak to the council members. So they didn't actually believe that I was actually answering the telephone, because at home, I don't, phone ring, I walk right past it and they always answer. But I've enjoyed my years working with each and every one of the members of the city council. And I will truly miss you all too.
All right.
Mr. President,
yes, ma'am.
on behalf of the city clerk's office, we too are at a loss now that Deidre has decided to take retirement, but it is something that we will all aspire to. And we are very much appreciative of her dedication and her organization because although she's gone, she has left her mark in a huge notebook for the next person to come along and they can follow step by step. And we do appreciate it. We appreciate all of her years of service here, and she will be missed.
Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. We hope you live long and prosper. And when you're ready to come to the good side, come on down to District 2.
No way.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Madam City Clerk.
Okay. Adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Well, Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I move the adoption of the agenda and that all items listed on the agenda as essential COVID-19 items be declared essential COVID-19 items.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearing. Today is a public hearing to declare the structures at 1653 Dublin Street, 1268 St. Meter Street, 3361 Clubhouse Road, 2006 and 2050 Stockton Drive, 1057 Sutton Avenue, public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in any of the said public hearings?
Yes, the owners for 1653 Dublin Street are here. Let me get them. Sir? Give them your name and address. Go ahead and have a seat. Or your give me your name and address.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
At the moment, I'm all right. And you?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Can we get your name and address, please?
Oh, my name is Jetta Campbell.
Yes, ma'am.
1653 Dublin.
1653 Dublin.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, ma'am. We want to hear whatever we want to offer to us.
Oh,
No, I'm saying we're listening.
okay.
It's your time. It's your time, Ms. Campbell.
Huh?
Right. Whatever you want to share with us, this is your opportunity.
I'm Miss Detta Nettles, her nephew. I'm a family
Yeah.
member.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can we get your name, please?
My name is Preston Roundtree.
Preston Roundtree.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I was reading over the notice that was sent to her to her home in regards to the property, the conditions of the property, and the potential course that the city is looking to take in regards to that property.
Yes, sir.
And the only thing that I want to address in regards to that is the property, since the notice has been sent, there's been a significant amount of work done on the property in terms of the yard, cleaning it up, getting it situated, and so forth. There were several violations that were listed on the notice that was given that aren't necessarily true, like in terms of the yard being overgrown with weeds and so on and so forth. The majority of the yard is stone anyway, so they can't really be overgrown with weeds. There are some structures that need some repair and that need to be reinforced, and that's actually something that we and Miss Detta Nettles' son are currently in the process of working in terms of demolishing what needs to be demolished, removing the rubble from the land, and so on and so forth. So I'm curious about with those courses of action that we're currently taking and that we're in the process of trying, what is the solution that we can reach the city to keep the city from actually coming and attempting to demolish the property themselves and then on the property.
So, Mr. Roundtree and Mr. Nettles, I represent this area, and we're working hard to try to work with neighbors. They're demanding of us that we work toward eliminating blight and dilapidated housing structures. That's the demand that we get from neighborhoods. So that's kind of why we're here. But what I'm hearing you say is that you and Ms. Nettles' son are working to try to rehab the house and take care of the issues.
Currently, like we're currently in the process of doing that. We've been doing so for several weeks now. There's been a monumental amount of work already done, and that we're fully intended on following through until whatever violations are put on the land are rectified.
Well, if we were to give you all a period of 60 days to try to remedy those issues, would that be sufficient?
60 days. Would the rectifications apply only to the listed violations on the notice that was received in the mail, or are there additional things that would have to be rectified?
Well, I think what we want to see is if you all are continually making progress, then we want to work with you.
Okay.
If 60 days would be sufficient for you all to pull the necessary permits and continue to show progress, then hopefully this will be a structure that we'll be able to save.
Okay. So at the end of those 60 days, would it culminate to another court appearance such as this?
Well, what would happen, is Mr. Diefenbach available?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes,
Diefenbach,
President Manzi, I'm here.
What would be the process after that? Say, for instance, we were to grant them 60 days to continue to make progress. What would happen after the end of that time?
With a 60-day extension, it would come back to council as an agenda item, and we would have the opportunity, the council would have the opportunity to vote whether it's still a public nuisance and order a resolution, either to secure or demolish the structure. In this case, the structure is so far gone that I think both Mr. Roundtree and municipal enforcement are in agreement that it needs to be demolished. I just would like to follow up is in the next 60 days, if he could get with the Build Mobile department and get a demolition permit and continue working his path of the demolition and cleaning up the yard, I think we would be in a good shape to close the file.
What is that department that you just mentioned, sir?
That department is named Build Mobile, and they issue building permits. In this case, specifically, you're looking for a demolition permit for the residents at this location.
Okay.
Is that agreeable to you and to Ms. Nettles?
You all said 60 days, 60, like 2 months, 60 days?
60, 2 months. Yes, sir.
Yes. That sounds well.
Okay, well, the department is Build Mobile, and they'll help you through pulling the permits that you need. And thank both of you for coming down today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great one.
You too.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak as a result of any of these public hearings? Madam Assistant City Clerk, do we have any other speakers? Madam Clerk, do we have any other speakers?
That's all.
Well, then we will, all these public hearings are closed.
You're muted, Lisa.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. We have no one signed for agenda items or non-agenda items.
Wow.
Essential COVID-19 items held over. 50035 ordinance to amend section 50-2 of the city code concerning distribution of improvements.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes. You on go.
Ms. Rich, and then we'll go to Mr. Richardson.
Thank you. I appreciate this administration in that there are surplus funds that were allocated in this budget cycle. And as far as looking at the CIP program, which this council worked through legislation to achieve, and it's been honored by the administration at all times, at least since it's been passed, and exactly what kind of projects would come out of that funding source. I don't want to read Mr. Richardson's mind, but I have a tendency to move towards his understanding of fair and equitable and on an annual basis, because the council does have the authority to look at funds, not only just during a budget cycle, but they can make recommendations to the mayor during a fiscal year. But it's at the budget where changes can be made or amendments can be offered. It's really changes because it's a proposed budget. It's not the final budget. It's a work in progress. But when I think about the Capitol and how much trouble, it wasn't trouble, how much thought went into how we aligned what items went into those programs. And then the mayor's understanding that he looked at projects that needed done that didn't have a revenue stream. So I think what needs to be clarified within this amendment is if there is a budget or a line item that is clarified on what goes into it at all times, that should be done as equitably and as close as possible, because the success of the 21 million that is split is because this council worked together through the course of developing what items went into it, and Parks was under those windows of opportunity to allocate funds. So there was a known resource. When you look at road improvements, those are things people move all around the district, and we don't have line items that resolve those types of capital programs. But again, they're supposed to be as equitable as possible, maybe not in a calendar year, But if there is a way to bolster this ordinance so that in the future, the CIP funding mechanism remains equal and equitable year to year, that's something that I think this council should work towards. And if it means rewriting this in a manner so that every council person is made whole from year to year, and there aren't just 4 selected, when there are resources available that have been used in the past and will continue to be used, because the whole idea is that there's that equal balance with that CIP project funding source. And I see that as now not equitable. And you can argue on all sides of the equation. The mayor had it in his announcements or his email, his daily emails where he gives COVID updates and speaks about his initiatives. But I really believe there's a way to do that better and to continue the momentum that said what was fair and equitable and on an annual basis, because the CIP program was so successful and everyone bought into it, even our citizens who mostly complained, myself included, on that extra penny tax, but we returned it very visibly to them. And again, I think it's writing this so that we can drill down on what funding equitable and equal was to go to on an annual basis based on that extra penny. So that's where I'm coming from. I'd like to support it because I know what it feels like to not have a district that was not included in the parks funding. And I don't see why that would be the case for any of us. So I'll leave it at that. And I hope this opens some discussion and maybe doesn't kill this initiative, but fine tunes it for this council.
Thank you. Ms. Rich?
Mr.
Mr.
President?
Richardson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I thank Ms. Rich for her comments that's shedding light on this ordinance. What is before us is Ordinance 50035 that grew out of the City Code 50-02 that grew out of the ordinance that was passed by this council, passed by the City Council November 6, 1985, Ordinance 65019. That ordinance grew out of the Zachary Act. 1144C90, 1144C-93, paragraph 3. So we have to wonder, why did the state legislators put this in the ordinance in the first place? Or put this in the Zachary Act in the first place? What was on their mind? And I would like to take a minute to share what I know about this with you. It was the nonpartisan Voters League under John LaFleur and Wiley Bowden who challenged the at-large election of city officials, city commissioners. They challenged it in the court. And Judge Virgil Pittman was the judge, federal judge, over this. And they prevailed in proving their case. And what the case was about is that the commissioners had woefully neglected the minority community. With the city resources, they had gone out and done a little bit of everything. But over in the minority section of the city of Mobile, they had done little or nothing. And Judge Pittman ruled that that was wrong and illegal and that they was going to have to change the form of government. And he gave it to the legislatures. You decide. Y'all can draw it up and pass it by me. But whatever you draw up, all the city, section of the city must be treated the same way. If not, you right back at the commission form of government. If you can pick and choose. So I'm not gonna do nothing for this one. I'm not gonna do nothing for them, but I am going to ingratiate them over here. You are back to the old commission form of government. So what the legislators did, they said within 30 days of taking office, the officials of the form of government chosen shall adopt an ordinance to require that all capital improvements and repairs made in the city of Mobile be made on the basis of need and shall, as nearly as practical, be fairly and equitable. They had in mind the old commission form of government where they were not fair and it was not equitable. So so what has happened now is that the mayor wrote his budget, submitted it to us, and he left out, he didn't include all of the council districts with the $14.1 million. To me, he's gone back to the commission form of government. So the council is bogged down now on what is fairly and what is equitable. So, like our attorney, I went to Western Black's Law to see could I get some understanding of what we can believe fairly to be. This is what I found. The fairly is without bias, impartiality, without prejudice, and without discrimination. That's what fair is. Then I looked up equitably. Means equal, just, unbiased. Then I went to the antonyms. What is the opposite of equitable? Biased, unjust, prejudiced, and one-sided. Let me just say that I moved to Mobile in 1958. By 1968, I found myself in the struggle for equal justice, equal rights, and freedom. I was confronted with armed forces. I've had a fixed bayonet put to my neck just because I was marching for freedom. Freedom came. But today, it seems to me that this council is trying to revert back, saying, no, we don't really need equitably. What we need is we need the authority to be biased. We need some room to be unjust, and we need to, from time to time, be prejudiced, and we need to be one-sided. We don't need to be just every time. We don't need to be fair every time. Sometimes we need to be unfair. It's taking me back to 1968, where I fought to destroy this kind of notion. There is no place in the city of Mobile for this. And I'm asking this council, all that our attorney did, he added 2 words. And that's what is before us today. It ain't but 2 words before us, because the ordinance was already there. But Joel raised the issue that if there's nothing in there by time, if it's not time specific, then the mayor could do this whenever he gets ready. So the attorney, I asked the attorney, he went on and said, but if in issuing his opinion, he said, if the ordinance has said each year, then the mayor wouldn't be able to do that anymore. I asked him to come back and add each year. So it reads all capital improvements and repairs made in the city each year shall be made on the basis of need and shall as nearly as practical be fairly and equitably made in all council districts in the city each year. So the issue is, do we want to leave each year out, or we can leave each year, put each year in or leave each year out? Then the mayor can be biased, unjust, prejudiced, one-sided. Next year, he can come back and do the same thing. He can leave your district out. If the council see the need to do anything different, that's what the council can do. But there should not be anything put on our agenda that is illegal or unfair. If the council see the need to give somebody more, that's a whole different matter. But this ordinance saying, put it on the agenda in a fair and equitable manner. That's how it's put on this agenda. If the council get together and say, why don't we do, that's up to the council. But then we are forcing the hand of the mayor to place capital funds on this agenda in a fair and equitable manner. It seems to me that those if there are those who are going to vote against this, are saying, no, let the mayor be unfair, let the mayor be prejudiced, let the mayor be one-sided, let the mayor be biased. I think that's the way for the city to go in the future. I don't think that's the way for the city to go, and I'm asking you to support this ordinance.
I'd like to comment if I
Ms. Rich?
could, as a semi-supporter, because I, like I said, I don't want to speak for Councilman Richardson by any means. He's perfectly capable of expressing his thoughts and his motives and means of what he's trying to accomplish. But I would like to think that because of the heightened understanding of the CIP program and the equal sharing from year to year, that if instead of this perhaps failing, but I can't predict everyone's vote, but in light that might happen, because I think on an annual basis, you have emergency needs. The mayor is, or the administration is acutely aware of what needs to be done. But when it comes to certain programs, that program should stay equal and equitable year to year. It has a history, and that's the CIP program. And again, what I tried to do with some support from this council was to urge the mayor to go back and make sure that every council district had park funding at around the same amount, although every project's different, but at least get those projects moving with surplus funds. And that failed. But I'm wondering if we drill down on this to ensure that in the future, for future councils, if the extra penny is still in place, because it dovetails to that, or how it reads that after so much money that goes to different things and what is left over. But at all times, that should stay fair and equitable year to year. It would prevent then having some things come out of the general or surplus, some out of CIP, and looking at making that fair and equitable, which I really thought was the goal of the CIP program and that extra penny. I think that was the beauty of it, for each council to have that adequate and same amount. So if there's a way to lay this over to maybe get that in the mix, if there are council people that would support that moving forward, I realize it would not happen this year, it would be for future budgets, but it would assure that fairness and even-handedness to the CIP program, that the council, because we're not operators, but we have a lot of in touch with our constituents on exactly what they would like that funding to go towards. And we have to work, of course, with the administration to make that achievable. But again, I hear what he's saying. I understand it. I sense it, because of seeing what happened to the CIP program and knowing that some council members are able to do about an average of $1 million more with the surplus funds that not all council members shared in. So, and that could have been cured with urging him to make that amendment. But if we get it into a law, then we're assured of that CIP program being fair and equitable year to year, which was its history.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
the first part of this ordinance says all capital improvements and repairs. It deals with all capital funds, CIP, EIG, and whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
Mr. President, Ricardo Woods, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Hold off, Mr. Woods. Let me hear from our council members first. Any other commentary from members of the council? Mr. Davis, did you have something you wanted to share? I don't know if you were indicating. Mr. Williams, pardon me, Mr. Woods.
So, Mr. President, thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. I want to clarify some things. One, I think, tracing through history is a good thing for us, but we have to make sure that we're accurate about the things that happen. Understanding that all of these ordinances and the state legislation work in concert. So let me separate two things. First and foremost, when you look at what the CIP ordinance and how it reads, we are talking about capital funds. And I asked this morning, I remember nobody raising their hand, what district didn't get their $3 million this year or last year or the year before? That's the equal share of capital funds. But what we're talking about here is dealing with need and practicality and equitable. So if we were looking at all of these ordinances in concert and we were looking at the equities of it, if we did it really in a fair way, equitable is not equal. So it's a good idea. It's a really good idea to split the $3 million so that everybody has equal amount. But it's not the most equitable thing because districts 1, 2, and 3 are substantially older and have substantially greater capital needs. But that is the key word here. Need and practicality are set out in the ordinance that you are looking at and set out in the state legislation. And so you have to base your funds on need, but you also have to look at the ZIGB Act that requires the capital plans go across 5 years. It's totally impractical to think that we could measure in 1 year equally spreading out all dollars. There are going to be some projects that are larger. I think Mr. Small made a very valid point this morning when he talked about the Airbus improvements. You wouldn't have been able to do that. And furthermore, you have to think about what you're doing across budget years and across the 5-year period. So, for instance, when the surplus dollars were used for the public's improvements in District 1, that was fair and legal. It was a practical decision. And so going forward, when you use an extra $1 million on Publix and then $2 million on the fire station, all in District 1, the other 6 districts didn't receive anything. Mr. Small's point is more accurately made when all of the money went in to improve Airbus, which improves the entire city. You wouldn't be able to do those things if you were to pass this. But more practically across the board, this year, just like last year and the year before, each of the 7 districts are getting $3 million apiece in capital funds. That's dealing with the extra penny. The money, the $14 million that we're discussing, that's not capital money, okay? So it doesn't apply to the CIP ordinance. However, the ordinance that we're talking about today in the state law, it would apply to. So you're dealing with different funds across different budget years. Back that up, just like District 1 received money for a fire station and money for public infrastructure, the other 6 districts didn't receive anything. The counter is this year, all 6 districts are receiving something. Each one of them is set out. In fact, one of them's on the agenda today. District 6 has Nevius Road on the agenda today. So everybody in the last 5 years has received something in the way of surplus. That is practical. That is equitable. but you cannot expect our engineers, our contractors to place the exact same amount. In fact, if you read the ordinance we're talking about today based on the structure of the English language and how it works with the other ordinance, need and practicality come first. I mean, I think somebody when writing this had the sense of mind to talk to an engineer, some city council person, and the administration had the sense of mind to talk to an engineer and talk about how we work these projects and how we do this. So to say that it's a form of unfairness is not only inaccurate, but it's not practical, because the way that many of you all know, you have cost overruns, you have 19 projects still being worked on in 20 and 18 projects still being finished out. If you were to put this every year, you would make things impractical. Our engineers would have to rush schedules and then possibly stop to accurately comply with the law. They would have to stop on those projects or try to make sure that they were splitting money equally all the time. So last thing I want to finish with, this council acted in accordance with the law when it passed the budget, and the mayor acted in accordance with the law when he submitted it, and when he made sure that he was allocated and you all were able to disperse. So all of you have acted in accordance with the law, and there's nothing illegal about what you're doing.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Mr. Richardson?
We have gone beyond that, but just to set the record straight. Mr. Gregory, are they building a new fire station in your district right now? Yes, they're building a brand new fire station right now on Museum Drive. We've already paid for it. Council already passed the money. He's going back to 2016 about a fire station in District 1. They're building one right now, and she got about $1.5 million. So that ain't not a thing. I want to hear from my lawyer. Chris, do you believe that the ordinance before us will have anything to do with, it says, the ordinance says all funds, all capital funds. If you're talking about building and repairing, all of those funds with this ordinance also apply to CIP funds in your estimation?
It would apply to all capital improvements.
All capital improvements. So what we're trying to say, no, see with CIP, love and happiness is over here. See, but it says all capital funds, including CIP. And Mr. Woods can waltz and dance all he wants to. This ordinance deals with all capital improvement funds, whatever the name of it, whatever you want to say. And Bess was right. It's time to nail this down. So, because next year he could say, Fred's get 1 million, and this one get 5 million, this one get yes he can.
Okay.
Unless we nail it down. I'm saying forget I didn't get any money. I didn't get none. If I'm willing to forget it, you ought to forget it.
You've forgotten it.
Forget that. Let's move forward. And moving forward, we need to fix it.
Mr. Richardson, I agree with you. On one hand, that it certainly might need some fixing. I don't know if this is the fix. My mind goes back to my childhood. There were 4 of us, raised in a home with a mom and a dad. There were 4 of us. And of the 4, there was one who grew sick and needed to go to doctors here and there and have transplants. And so my mom and dad loved all of their children the same, but it was one that needed more time. It was one that needed more attention. And then issue arose with another sibling. So it needed more time and more attention there. It didn't deflect on their love, but there are times when one needs more attention and one needs more hands-on activity than the next. And I akin that to my district. If we were to be fair, if we're going to talk about fairness, then we ought to be spending all the money in the districts with the greatest need. We've created the CIP program. It's equal. Everybody gets the same amount. But there will be instances where your district will need more of excess resource than mine, where Gina's district might need more, where John's district might need more. And I'm just concerned, and concerned on behalf of the 31,000 residents that I represent, that if I support the proposition that's before us now, the ordinance that's before us now, it's going to be detrimental to my district that on paper has the greatest need of all districts. So we've already provided a level where we're equal, which is the CIP. If there are excess resources, I'm going to be the biggest champion that they be spent where the greatest need is, because in any instances, the greatest need is going to be in my district. And so I'm all for continuing a dialogue as to how we can tighten things up. Maybe there's another way we can go about achieving what Mr. Richardson would want to be achieved. But as I read it, and as our attorney has advised me relative to its impact on the district that I represent, I'm not going to be in position to support.
If I could comment?
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. I understand everything that you're saying, President Manzi, in that, especially when we were talking about how to formulate that 3 million equals capital funding program, because a lot of the buildings and the infrastructure, downtown museums, whatnot, that belong to the city, you didn't want to see that coming out of neighborhoods or community parks. And so we decided that there would be a whole nother fund that would go towards, and that could not be equal. But if we have a program, and I think this is where the fine tuning could come in, because I was on the receiving end of it. And that is that if we decide that parks have a funding source, and it's to come out of CIP, to add to some districts with surplus and not to others, is incorrect. If there's a pot of money that can be allocated, it's the citizens' money. If I had that opportunity, I could have done more resurfacing and still had the park project, which is shovel ready. But instead, I rested that because the one project that was supposed to be done last year still hasn't been done. It will eventually. I understand that. Every district has to wait its turn. But at the same time, can we write this so that what we know is equitable and has a funding source does not get changed up in a calendar year unless all of the programs within that funding source gets the same amount of money? Because that was the whole idea of the CIP. And unless parks are now going to become projects that, I could lobby that anything done at Medal of Honor should come out of surplus and not be CIP funded, I'm good with that. I just want to know what the rules are. What is the rules, and how do we stay in the lane and know that the funding is equitable and equal year to year, especially when it comes to that CIP program? And we worked hard to come up with what went in and fell into that resource. And that's what became inequitable as far as I was concerned. And,
No.
can we write this so that it's something that this council as a consensus would like to see future councils have that assurance if there are surplus money spent, and that it doesn't become where you just pick off some districts and others are left without it. So I think it's to write it so that the equitable part stays within that 3 million. And yes, the 3 million, that's done, but I had to stop a park project. And technically I should not have had to if the surplus funds had gone into the football fields, stuff. And that's the even-handedness that my office is looking for with capital money.
Ms. Rich, get with Mr. Arledge with your idea and submit it to us, and we'll consider it.
Okay, well, all right. I tried with an amendment, so, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate that.
Mr. Attorney Arledge and let him know what you would like it to, how you would like it fashioned, and then submit it on the agenda, and we'll take it up at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commentary?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Richardson?
Mr. President, the notion that you put out there that District 2 has greater needs than any of these other council districts, I consider that to be hog slop.
Well, you would know hog slop, Mr. Richardson, but that's not true.
I was raised up in hog slop, but let me just say, I have 1,590 streets in District 1. Of that number, according to the engineering department, 780 need resurfacing. 780 streets need resurfacing. In Trinity Garden alone, I have 32 open parallel ditches running parallel with the streets. It's gonna cost me about $1 million a ditch to get them closed, and if I wait any longer, it's gonna be way more than that to get them closed. Midtown, all kind of drainage. I took care of Florida Street, but there's all kind of other streets up there, but all kind of drainage problem. I got kids walking to a Holloway school without any sidewalks on the street. So I'm saying the notion that you have more problems than District 1, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. And I think the way to approach that is not where Fred Richardson want District 1 to get more at the detriment of District 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. No, I think what the legislators put into the law is the route we need to stick with, that we need to be fair as we move forward. We need to be fair and equitable as we move forward, and eliminating council districts is not going to do that. If council members decide that that's what we want to do, let's, I want less this year so this person can get more to do this, that, and other, that's fine. But I think we need to start off on an equal footing. We all knew that District 1, 2, and 3 had greater need, but let me just say I came on this council in 1997. By 2015, not one dime had been spent to resurface a single street in District 1. Not one dime of local money. Not one. Let me say that not one dime of local money had gone to close not the first ditch in Trinity Gardens. Yet we knew that those 3 districts needed more. So we finally got some money, and we went on and said we're going to split the CIP equal, although we knew we needed more. The law, the ordinance on this book, not only will assure that CIP remain like it is, but any future money for capital will be treated the same. And I said this is fair, and I said we're going to miss out on a golden opportunity to get this right so we can move forward in the right way.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
Mr. President, this is Ricardo.
Can we not belabor this anymore? Right. I'd like to call question on the motion. And by rule, we need to go to the question.
Oh, I totally agree with you, Mr. Williams. We've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had ample discussion. All in favor?
Wait 1 second. All those did not have. I don't think Joe did, and Gina. But even
Sure, sure. Any other discussion?
Yeah,
I don't mind, Mr. Vice President.
yeah,
Any other discussion?
Yeah, even for myself, I agree with, Councilman Richardson, what he's trying to do and some of the statements that he's made. Also with Ms. Rich, the attorney, Woods, and yourself too, Mr. President, of some things that that you had mentioned, even for tasking Ms. Rich to get with our attorney. But the thing about it is that we really need to go back, revisit this ordinance, and probably revisit some other ordinance and make some tweaks. But this was before us today is not really just going to be very healthy, especially for the district that I represent. As you all recall, about a year ago, I had brought to the council when it was talking about annexation about things that is needed in District 3. And one of them was a bathroom that had been ridiculous, deplorable shape, and still is today. Yes, District 3 was a beneficiary of the $1 million from out the budget, but it went towards a part that never really got no attention from the city of Mobile in a very, very long time, and that was Tremere Park. Matter of fact, it don't even qualify for community block CBDG funds at all, because it's outside of the district line for that, that particular federal fund. But yet, I put up $1 million of my CIP. The city came in and put another $1 million in there too. But that had been many years of neglect just at Tremere, and Tremere is not the worst part that's in District 3. The part that I showed last year was Duval Street Park, and I still haven't have no funds to go towards that at all. $3 million a year for District 3 is not enough money at all. And I remember Ms. Rich had stated when she saw the pictures from Duval Street Park and some other parks that's in the area that, and if I'm wrong, Ms. Rich, correct me, and we can go back in the files and put it back up. But she would even support more additional funds to go towards those particular type of projects that is in pitiful shape, that's like it is, because again, she and as in other was shocked to see exactly what type of condition those parks was in. So if this were passed today, and even what Ms. Rich had stated about a year ago, I mean, if this were passed, it would not happen at all. And of course, like the city attorney Ricardo Wood stated, District 1, 2, and 3 is in horrible shape. So therefore, Ms. Rich, she don't have how many parks you have in your district, Ms. Rich? One? Just one? Compared to District 3 have 12, 13 parks, and District 4, District 1, how many parks? District 2, how many parks you have?
About 21, adding another 22.
So, you take talking about split even, and I got 13 parks that's in my district that's dilapidated, and one particular district only have one park. That's not no even fair playing at all. So again, we really need to go back and revisit this ordinance, or in other ordinance to see exactly what we need to tweak and to make, sure that things are going forward. Because again, $3 million is not a lot. And Mans and myself get beat up all the time, especially.
That's right. Mans
and constituents saying that, we get $21 million a year and we split upon, between the 7 districts. 2 of his constituents say all the time, y'all need to go down there, get all the money and bring back the Maysville.
Those sisters?
We can't take the $21 million and bring it all back to Maysville at all. And we try to keep a fair level. I know the mayor tried to keep a fair level. And it might not be fair to all the eyes, but again, it has not been fair for Tremere Park to go so long without having no improvement whatsoever. And it's still not fair for Duval Street Park not to have no attention at all. I won't even let my dogs use the restroom and I'm ashamed to say this, in Duval Street Park. I won't. So therefore, and you're talking about kids are going to use the restroom in there? We need more money. Compared to one district have one park, compared to another district have 13 parks or 21 parks, it just ain't fair. It's just not fair. And pretty much I will not be able to support this ordinance on today. I do believe what Mr. Richardson trying to do, but it just needs some tweaks in it, because if I believe that if we would pass this today, this will hurt my district tremendously, very, very tremendously. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Have we heard from Ms. Gregory? Did you have any commentary? Mr. Davis, did you have? I want to be fair and hear everyone out.
If I could answer Mr. Small's
Well, let's hear
commentary.
Let's hear. Did either Ms. Gregory or Mr. Davis have anything to say? Mr. Williams? No? Ms. Rich?
Thank you. Yes, there's one very large park in Medal of Honor, and for years, the citizens took up the banner and made the improvements because the city did not isolate funds to make those improvements. And actually, a restroom project and concession stand is what was held over based on the need, terrible need, and those resources are too. And yes, I'm in favor of every park having attention. And it's hard to do it in a calendar year, but at the same time, there are needs in every district. There isn't one district that doesn't have a need for 3 million, if not greater. So I think we can all say that, because it could be paving, it could be a drainage ditch that completely is on its head. It could be, just lots of things that only the city can repair, only the city can do. And so I'm going to take up what Councilman President Manzi said about having an ordinance written. And because I think fair and equitable and needs go district-wide. I just don't, I think they might be different, but the fabric's the same. The resources belong to everyone. Everyone's contributing, and, just being as fair as possible year to year was the whole premise of going into district form of government, so that every citizen is heard. And we collectively then use the resources to the best of our abilities. But I'll show you what's all messed up at Medal of Honor too, even though, yes, there's just one park. And there's also some parks that have never been constructed that actually exist in the district, but they never took off.
I think all that we've heard has been helpful. I look forward to hearing. I may be coming forward with an ordinance of my own. The statement that I made relative to District 2 having the greatest need was information that was supplied to me by city staff. So if it's unfactual, it's not unfactual on my account, it'd be a factual on theirs. And I believe we glean on their expertise every year when we make various decisions. And so if it's untrue, it's untrue because it's what was reported to me. And so any other discussion? It's about time to reel this in. All in favor? All in opposition? Aye. No.
Opposed. Abstain. Abstain.
As I heard it, I heard 5 in opposition, 1 in support, and 1 abstention. Madam City Clerk.
$64,036, ordinance to rezone property located at the east terminus of Blue Ridge Boulevard from R1, R2, and B1 to R1.
I would like to offer a multi-part motion on this for the council to entertain.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, and this language was written by our council attorney, and I'll ask him if it does get approved to please send this to the city clerk, so it's definitely in the record, but I will read it. And again, it's called a multi-part motion. First, I would request that a new traffic study be provided that takes into account the potential effects of traffic from this proposed development on all intersections on Cottage Hill Road and Hillcrest Road, as well as the internal streets of Carriage Hills subdivision and Asheville subdivision. Request that the traffic study be reviewed by our city engineer. Request that the city engineer provide recommendations as to what measures may be necessary or desirable to mitigate any negative effects the additional traffic, such as road modifications and interior traffic calming devices. And 4, to lay this proposed ordinance for 90 days.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion?
My idea, if I'm just may, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, sorry.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams. Yes, sir.
First of all, I just, as I always have, I hope that this was shared to the administration before we before we read it out today, and I would have appreciated having it prior to it being read out in the formal meeting. You said you had a motion, but it just never was received. And I asked that everybody do that, just as we have in the past, ask the mayor before they bring something to us, they share it with us. And that way we can all know what we're voting on before the words are uttered in our meetings. I do support that. I believe that we need to do this now. We only have a small amount of authority in this action. And while it may not appear to some to be directly related, it is our time to stop the process and make sure that that the residents of those neighborhoods are not, they're going to be adversely affected, that they're not beyond any expectation of protection by the city. And so I applaud Ms. Rich in this action. I'll support it until we get what we're asking for, and that is a traffic study that reflects what the real world is. And I agree with her that the last one did not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms.
Yes.
Rich?
And, you know, as far as getting this ordinance to everybody, I apologize, but I'm not so sure, since it is a act, whether, you know, that kind of stuff can go on. I'll be honest with you. So if you'd like to lay this over, but I believe that the hearing that we had made it clear from the residents of the concerns, the timing of the traffic study that showed no mitigation and no traffic study internal, which I think is really important to an established neighborhood. So I appreciate your support and your willingness. If the study comes back sooner and the traffic engineer, I didn't even know how many days to make it, to be quite honest, but the 90 days should be ample. And, you know, I'm hoping there's a willingness from everyone to come to a consensus. So that's our, I think, any goal with a change in land use.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I believe that all Ms. Richards done today is laying it over. She would have to come back with any ordinance to do something else. That ordinance is not before us. It's no ordinance. Go ahead on. So are you laying this over for 90 days?
Yes, but I'm making this request, and then therefore, if it becomes a legislative act, the administration is tied in, but they were tied into the first one to begin with. They reviewed we didn't ask an outside traffic engineering to make the decisions on what needed to be mitigated or not mitigated. That was reviewed. So again, our attorney can answer that. But these are things that will need to come back to council so that we can make an adequate decision on what requirements are necessary for that rezoning, if indeed it is made known by the traffic engineer.
That's all I'm saying. When it comes back to us, all the wherewithals will be in the ordinance when it comes back. Is that right?
We need clarification from that. I'm not sure I understand.
Today, all she's doing is asking for more information and to lay it over for 90 days.
That's all she's done. So we don't normally notify nobody if we want. That's all we want to do. That's all she's trying to do. I mean, she did some more talking about her visions, but that's all she's trying to do.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in opposition? That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
47702, assent to the vacation of a 5-foot strip of land adjacent to Lot 4B, Walker's Addition into Braywood.
We need to lay this over, Chris, how long did we say?
Braywood, 30 days.
30 days, okay. Lisa, can you give us the date on that? 30 days?
Yes. October 20th. November 17th, is that, yeah, November 17th.
Okay. Move to lay over until November 17th.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item is laid on.
47767 and 768 are assenting to the vacation of a portion of South Conception Street west of Metro Jail and a portion of St. Emmanuel Street east of Metro Jail.
Move delay over 1 week.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
08774 and 775 are approving item-based bid for ammunition and approving purchase order to Ward International for 3 shuttle trucks. 6792, approved recommendation to sell West I-65 Service Road North property.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Essential COVID-19 items introduced for the first time, 01793 through 03810.
Move for immediate consideration of items 4799, 800, 801, 802, 83, 804, 60, 808, 809, and 03810. Remainder delay over 1 week pursuant to council rules.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait. Yeah,
Whoa.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, approving it.
You're gonna have to call out set 4799 separately, Lisa.
Oh, because I gotta.
60 days, right.
Yeah.
4799, declare the structure at 1653 Dublin Street a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Move delay for 60 days.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
4800, 801, 02, 03, and 04 are declaring the structures at 1268 St. Meter Street, 3361 Clubhouse Road, 2006 and 2050 Stockton Drive, 1057 Sutton Avenue, public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 6808, determine an appropriation to the Mobile Convention and Visitors Corporation serves a public purpose and approve payment. 6809, determine the appropriation to Boys and Girls Club of South Alabama serves a public purpose and approve payment. 03810, appoint Sandra Wiley to the Mobile Library Board.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Announcements.
Mr. Vice President?
Mr. President, just want to remind all the citizens throughout, the surrounding area. Went to a Big Box store yesterday and a couple other stores on yesterday and walked around and people did not have their mask on. And just unfortunately have to remind people that this virus has not gone nowhere. As I was looking at the news this morning, I see that, Alabama's, numbers are rising. And matter of fact, there was the director, Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policies at the University of Minnesota is saying that the next 6 to 12 weeks is going to be the darkness of this entire pandemic. So again, want to remind all the citizens that this virus has not gone nowhere. People are still, sick, going to the hospital and unfortunately dying from this virus. And we know that the holiday time is coming up and just want to remind everyone to please just remain safe and distant from other people because again, 30 to 40% of the people are not showing symptoms that they do, carrying the virus. And I really just don't want people just to, get sick or die, because of this unfortunate disease or pandemic that we're in, right now. And again, researchers are saying that the next 6 to 12 weeks is going to be the darkness of this entire pandemic was even watching the news of Chicago. They, this morning stating that they're on their second wave. But again, just reminding all the citizens to please be safe and be cautious, and please wear your mask and respect others. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Ms. Gregory?
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. Last Thursday, I held an organizational meeting for the Friends of Langan, and we had a great turnout of people who want to participate to become the Friends of Langan to help us as we move forward with the plan that a consultant has done for us with all of the different projects included in that. And one of the things that I showed the group was this budget. I don't know if you can see, but this is something I'm very proud of. It was from 1955-56, and that's when Langan Park was opened, a 750-acre piece of land that is Langan Park. And it doesn't include the baseball and football fields. It's just the park proper as we see it today. So we will begin working toward efforts on fundraising, eventing, and just letting the community have input as we go forward with the different projects that the plan has put together, and hopefully we will be able to do in my lifetime. So that's the goal. I would love to see some of these things get off the ground before I go into the ground. So that's the Friends of Langan, and I just appreciate their willingness to be a part of it. The Ziegler Widening Project, the phase 2 of the Ziegler Widening Project will get going very soon. We look toward maybe mid-November-ish before we see some of the big equipment coming out. In the meantime, I'll be sending out letters to the different neighborhoods that border Ziegler to remind them about the construction work and the fact that, of course, there will be some traffic backups. Resurfacing in District 7, as I have promised, is coming. It's just very slow because there is a lot of preparation work to be done ahead of time, a lot of concrete work, a lot of drainage. And I've heard from some of the residents that they have seen some of this prep work going on. And I know it is because I go around and check on it. So I just want to remind everyone in the district that if we told you that your street is going to be resurfaced, it will be. But we have to do all the prep work first. So just hang on, it's getting there. And last but not least, just a reminder that the Mobile Botanical Gardens has their plant sale. We had one in-person sale this past weekend, and this coming weekend, the 23rd and 24th, that's Friday and Saturday. You can go out to the Botanical Gardens in person for a plant sale. And I can't think of a better place to go in person, get out in the sun, look at all these plants and talk to the master gardeners there about which plants, which shrubs, which trees will grow best in your yard or your garden, whichever you have. So just going out and support the Mobile Botanical Gardens this weekend, the 23rd and 24th. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. Mr. Williams?
No, thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Mr. Richardson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
The citizens of District 1 are still waiting on the Figgers Park project. We were told about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, that the Figgers Park project dealing with Fall River Fortune walking trail and park entry where it was ready for our agenda. We have not seen it yet. It's something we've been working on for probably 3 years, and we are ready for that project to come to fruition. We were told today that the O'Shea Road sidewalks is ready to be put on the agenda. So those are 2 items that we're going to be waiting on. O'Shea Road, we've been waiting on probably 4 years to get sidewalks up and down O'Shea Road starting from I-65 to Highland Avenue. It's been paid for. We're just waiting on the construction end of it. So we hopefully some of those, both of those projects will be on the agenda next week. The Board of Registrars is open daily. It has been recommended that if there are those with underlying health issues, that your best bet would be to vote early The board of you cannot register anymore. Yesterday, I think, was the last day to register to vote. But you can vote absentee. You can go down to the board of registrar's office and vote today. So if there are those with underlying health conditions, it is recommended that you go ahead on and cast your ballot, so you won't have to get in line with all of those people who could probably adversely affect your health. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am, Madam City Clerk.
I'd just like to make a correction to Mr. Richardson's statement. It's not the Board of Registrar's office to vote, it's the Mobile Probate Court's office to vote absentee.
So the board of registrars not located in the probate court's office?
Yes, it is located in there, but you don't vote at the Board of Registrar's office, Mr. Richardson. You only register to vote there. You vote, you'll vote at the absentee election office, which is located in the probate court building.
Okay. I stand to be corrected. Citizens, pay attention.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Daves?
We will have a meeting of the City Council Finance Committee to discuss a proposed ordinance regulating food trucks. It is now 12:30. I would suggest that meeting commence at 1:15, if that's suitable for everybody.
Who is all on your committee, Mr. Daves?
Finance Committee, Mr. Williams. And who else?
Mr. Richardson, I think.
I think it is Mr. Richardson.
Great. I will not be able to attend that meeting, but certainly I'm interested because I'm sponsoring the ordinance. And I know we have committed to putting the time in to making certain that it's, I guess to use some words we heard a lot today, fair and equitable to both sides of this issue. So I'll be in contact with you, Mr. Daves, to see how things are going. Thank you.
Well, all we intend to do today is hear from interested parties.
And there are a lot of
interest in this legislation, and we'll hear from them today.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. Just like to remind the administration that my office is awaiting information about the Nevis Road improvements, since it is on the agenda to allocate capital. So if I can have an understanding and some more, pardon the pun, some concrete information on what that project is due to kind of return as its asset into the community. It's going to be a roadway that I believe will take off a lot of pressure off of Hillcrest by opening it up out to Solly Road. And because Nevis goes right into Highway 90, which then goes into the I-10 exchange, and a lot of people use that so to get downtown or to go out further west. So again, I look forward to all the information that will help this council understand exactly what that funding is going towards, what the design looks like, and just need that help. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rich. Was that all your announcements?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. We appreciate you. I just want to put some emphasis on what I've already heard. You know, we're in the midst of a worldwide, just horrendous pandemic. Let's be respectful of one another. If you're out, wear your mask, social distance. This isn't the time to be hugging on the classmate you hadn't seen in 10 or 20 years. Let's get a good vaccine and hopefully get back to normal. And then we'll be able to commence with all those other things. But let's be respectful of other people, because this is not a hoax. It's not a scam. This is real, and we're seeing numbers rise, and we need to be mindful and cognizant of other person's health condition, just like we would want someone to be respectful of our family members and their health conditions. Go vote. Go vote. Let's not leave this and lose this precious opportunity for our voice to be heard through our vote. It's important. It's imperative. Literally, your life could depend on it. I used to hear that and wonder, how did that shake out? Well, I'm seeing it right now. And so I'm asking, go vote. Vote your conscience and vote your conviction. And then lastly, I want to announce, that's Amazon. Lastly, I want to announce that on Saturday, I will be sponsoring a food giveaway along with the Corinthian Missionary Baptist Church, Corinthian Chaos, Manzi Chaos. And it will be a drive-up food giveaway Saturday, October 24th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And this is sponsored by Corinthian Missionary Baptist Church. It's pastored by Dr. Alvin Cleveland. And we've got trustee chairman, Mr. Augustus Bramble, and Feeding the Gulf Coast. You'll be able to stay in your car and they will load the food into your vehicle and then you will be able to leave. Corinthian Chaos and Manzi Chaos. This is number 4 of our food giveaways. And as long as we have need, we hope to continue to be a part of great efforts like this. That concludes my announcement. Anything else from members of the council?
Ms. Lambert, those of us who are going to be on the committee meeting, we don't hang up, right? We just stay on this.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you for all you do, Madam City Clerk. Thank you for all you do, Madam Assistant City Clerk. Thank you for all you do, Mr. Council Attorney. You all are some great people. You work hard for us. We appreciate each and every one. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Probably moved and second in the discussion. If not, all in favor?
Aye.